What's good, everybody? So today we're going to talk about a really important topic that comes up time and time again, year after year, is reasons, or this is basically going for my reasons, but 3 reasons why I undercut the buy box and crash prices. Now the reason I say that's because, is that because people always rant about on Facebook, on groups, on Q&As, when we're having Q&As and people always ask the question, why do people undercut and crash the buy box? So sometimes they crash the buy box, so they come a lot under the cheapest FBA, or they're undercutting, like penny under repricing, aggressive. So you bring it down a little bit, and the second 5 minutes later it's down another penny, and that person's trying to basically hog that buy box. There is so many reasons. I could go into 10 reasons, probably at least 5, and I'm just going to touch over 3 because these are the main 3 that I come across in my business, and that is because a lot of more experienced sellers could be selling a lot of products, and they're not always going to be good purchases. You're always going to make a bad decision. If you're selling 1,000 different ASINs, you're not going to make the perfect decision on everything. And so certain things will come up where you're like, oh, you know what, I made a mistake. Something's got to change. I need to, and that is basically where these things then occur, these scenarios. And definitely when people start asking these questions on groups and stuff, it always makes you realise that they must be quite like an intermediate or beginner seller. Because this is something that I always do, and it's it's not on a lot of products, but it happens. And so does the next seller. That's doing selling a lot on Amazon, and the next seller. Look, we're all doing it, and it's very obvious why. And I'll go over the 3 reasons why I do it. Everyone else might have a slightly different reason, but when people say that, I'm like, well, it's obvious. This is the reason. This is the reason. And sometimes it's not always the reasons that I'm doing it. It could be on like a product that I don't sell, or a category I don't sell. So it could be slightly different for every seller, the reason they're doing it, but I'll just go over based on the products that I'm selling and why. So the first thing is expiry related products that will expire. Some might have a great shelf life, a year. I have plenty of time to sell. But many other times I might buy something, it could be related to Q4, I could buy a lot for Q4, and it sells a lot over Q4, but I'm left with 300 units. And let's say the expiry is the end of March, end of April. Well, now that Q4's gone, I don't have a lot of sales coming in against that product. It could be that it's even the price of the product too cheap, so I'm holding off for a little bit just to see what happens. It could be that the product's still selling, but it's nowhere near what it was selling over Q4, and I could have 300 in stock. Well, if it's only selling 10 a month for me, I have to pretty much crash that price, because otherwise I'm losing £3, £4 per unit against 300 items. Well, if that's happening against 10 ASINs against my against my 600 ASINs, 700 ASINs that are active, which is a tiny percentage, but it could be, it could add up to £1,000 here and £500 there if you are basically just leaving it as buy box. I have 380 units or something at the moment, and I haven't sold anything since December, but the expiry is very long, it's till next year, so I'm happy to keep it there. Yeah. But again, it is a meltable. So in theory, I could also go, okay, I don't want that into the summer, after May. That's crashed the, I'm just giving you some scenarios. I'm crashed the price because I don't want it to melt, go to the customer, get a refund, cause, further account problems potentially on the product. I could get the ASIN blocked, and I've lost the price. So you're trying to remove all those things. But in this instance, if I have a lot of products that say that they don't book in, give this scenario, they don't book in over Christmas by the 23rd of December. They book in after, and I have plenty there, but I have too many. The demand is now 1/10 of what it was over Q4, and I have 300 units. Well, I look, I'm at sales analytical data, and I'll see that in January I sold 50. Well, I have 300, and Amazon will probably go and say that's an expired product next month. So I need to sell 150, 200, however many the differences in the next month. How do I do that? I have to bring down that price. Now, the reason that I might bring the price from $14.99 to $9.99, which I've done many times in the last couple of months on products, is the product will expire. I have to get rid of them. I have to get rid of them as fast as possible. Even at a loss, I have to get rid of them, because if I just leave it, if I basically get back like £2, which is far less than the buy price could be £5. So let's go off this scenario. 1 second. Then I've made a net loss of 3. If I let the product expire, and it just goes to into the unfulfilled inventory, then I've lost the full buy price, £5. But then I have to recall the product to like 45p and give it away or something. So not only have I lost £5, but I've lost £5 for 45 or whatever the recall cost is. If I lose £3 and sell it at $9.99, I'll only lose £3. Yeah, so I'm actually gaining. I'm up £2.45. Obviously, at some point there'll be a price where too low will mean it's more of a loss because the FBA fees will be too high. So you have to be careful there. But I know a lot of the products that I sell year after year. I'll go, okay, well, I know at $9.99, I'll probably be able to sell my full whack within a month. And that means that I'll be able to sell everything. Yes, I'll lose the money, but they won't expire and go into unfulfilled inventory. You see? And yes, that's against grocery. And you might go, well, I've seen it against non-grocery related products. Well, I'll go into some more examples after this because there's 3 reasons that I'll touch on why I do it. So this is really interesting. And it could even be that I don't, but let's say that it's a non-summer related product. It is a product that is not really consumed over the summer as much as it is the other periods. I also have to take into consideration that even if it is still selling and the expiry is wrong, because I don't want to have to basically get rid of it, recall it, let it expire over summer. So I'm basically trying to hedge or make predictions of what I need to do. And it won't be across many ASINs. It might be 2%, 3%. It will happen more probably over like after a Q4 period because I'm really, I'm buying thousands of products, 500 to, and obviously if something doesn't work out with that product, I'm left with hundreds rather than 20s and 30 batch. And I might be left with 10 ASINs like that, 15, maybe 20. But I was selling 900 plus ASINs over Christmas, so it's not a lot. For example, if I'm selling 900 ASINs, 9 ASINs that I've got 300 in stock on, that's 1%. Okay, so I can have 30 ASINs and it's a couple of percent. Perfect. It's going to happen. That will happen. It's healthy to happen. It means that you can prepare better next year because you are aware of that. You can, and that's information that you can take to increase your profits next year. Yeah, so it's good to do that because you can't guess and pick and choose. I can't go, oh yeah, but I think that one's going to sell better than that one. That's you making an emotional decision because you go, oh, that one seems more. I know my mum's bought that. My mates like that. I enjoy that. That shouldn't be part of the analytical process when you're deciding to buy a product. It should be based on the technicals, the keepers, all the data points, and it's relevant what you think. And you will have products like that if you sell enough products, like for me, 900 over a Q4. And if I'm buying 300 of every product, 300 plus of every product, of course there are going to be some ASINs that have issues. But that's the cost, if I'm making 100 grand a year, for example. But actually I could, if I lose £5 of expired, because I still lose money on expired products. Sometimes I just can't force that sale. And I will lose actual cash, like it will become expired. And I'll have to recall it and give it away. That happens still. But I'm trying to reduce that as much as possible. Because if I'm, I probably have £5 a year, 2, 3, 4, probably, let's just say 5, round it up, products that expire. But let's say that I'm making 100 grand. Okay, so oh my god, it's so much money. Okay, well, I go and get a job for like 25 grand a year, but I make 100 grand. I could have made 105 if I didn't have that expired product. But the cost of making 100 grand is that 5 grand there. Maybe you lose another 5 grand from shipping issues where products aren't booked in properly. Can you get where I'm going with it? And so this happens all the time. Periodically, every month I just go and check my expiry dates, and then I'll see the state of play with the product at that time. A lot of the products I've sold for many months, years, so I know the score. I know when they're good, bad, ugly. Sometimes I just can't sell them because the buy box could be so cheap. There's no sales, and that happens. But it's about reducing, having 5,000, having 1,000 units expire. I want maybe 200. But great, I've saved. I've got £3. It's like when I've got a penny on the pound kind of thing. So that's just a saying. The next one is 90 days inventory. So again, where I've got lots of products, maybe I've got 600 to 900 depending on the time of year. Yeah. Oh, this thing's dripping. You want to, after about 90 days, I'll start to look at the higher stock quantity products. So I buy enough for 90 days pretty much. And if I'm like, I haven't bought that product for ages, it's kind of been it's been in the hundreds of stock. Because they're all the same products that I sell year after year, month after month, quarter after quarter. I'm used to knowing when I'm familiar with that. Oh, I haven't bought that for a while. I bought that last month. I haven't yet. And then I'll go and check. And I'll be like, you know what, 300. Yes, and these will be expiry, but they might have long expiry, or they might have a longer expiry. But I'm also thinking ahead, thinking, you know what, I still don't think they're going to, looking at the current buy box, looking at the sales data, keeper, I still don't think it's going to do great. Some may end up expiring. If I've got 300 in stock, I could sell 100, and then I could reduce the price for the next 100, but I still could lose. So I'm like, you know what, let's see what the break even is. Straight away, no time wasted, break even. And then I will basically burn through, if I can, at break even, whatever the price is, even if I have to crash the price by £5, that's it, $14.99, but the sales are like 20 a month. I'm like, 300, that's not going to be forever. But they were good at one point. It's just that seasonality dictates, listings change, some listings are great and then they just become bad, and that's part of it again. But it's like on the whole, it's only a couple of percent of your products that are doing it. And so on this, I'll be like, okay, let's bring that down to $9.99. I always like that. So it could be $13.99, but I can go and look at my data and go, okay, how many sales did I make at $9.99 in Q4 this time last year? And it could be like I doubled my sales. So at break even, I'm doubling. Instead of saying 50, I sell 100, but I've also got 100% buy box because I've gone so much lower, and I'm cleaning out. And then when I have 100 left or 50, I could decide to bring that price back up and hold because I know that isn't as much of a risk to have that much inventory. Because again, I'm not going to make an emotional decision to go, but I'm going to pick and choose that this time last year that did that. I could be a bit more cautious, but you don't want to be, I found that trusting in it all and doing it as a bulk lot, and then you might have made 10 grand losses from various things bad decisions basically. But I made 100 grand on site. So I could have made 110 if I made every decision 100% perfect, but I made 100. And if I say to someone I lost 10 grand, like literally just off chocolates or something, they're like, wow, that's loads. I'm like, well, is it? I made 100 grand, I lost 10, but if I got a job, I get 25, 30, so I'm up 70 grand by losing 10. So my decision is maybe 70,000. That's how I see it. It's irrelevant what you're really losing, it's what you actually got from the whole pie at the end of the day. There's probably a million things that I could go into on that, as well as the expiry. We're going to keep it short and sweet because, let's face it, everyone hates a lot of video. And then the last one, IP potential sell-off. So this is important. 2 brands recently-ish. So Disney Q4, Disney products, and IKEA products had recently in this Q1 2021. I want longevity on my Amazon account. I probably sell only 5 to 10% of the products I could be selling that I have sold through the years. I mean, there's products that I was selling years ago, selling thousands of them a month, making £1 on every single, and this is across 5, 6 different variety products, so slightly different versions of it. But I saw some IP issues. It came up, in people discussed it, saying, "Oh, I've had an IP problem with this, I've had an IP problem with that." In the Facebook groups, in the Q&As, in the space, and I'll be like, you know what? I don't want to even expose myself to any risk. Even if one person mentions it, I'm like, I'm done. I don't need to rely on one brand. That's why it's good to build a healthy pot of hundreds and hundreds, even thousands if you can get big enough, of products, so that even if you stop selling 30 of them, let's say 30 Disney products, 30 IKEA products, it doesn't matter. You've got 100 left. Yeah, you might notice a short-term dip because you might want to go, okay, well that was giving me £5 grand a month. Obviously, I need to try to fill that gap. Yeah, fine, but over the long term, maybe in a year's time, in 6 months, you won't notice it, and you won't get 3 IP issues in 3 months because you were like, nah, let's see how it goes. Yeah, it's like you're going to risk. You can get more money in the short term, a couple of grand, potentially, within a couple of months. But I want longevity. That's my decision. But if you're working part time, maybe it isn't that much of an issue for you. You're happy to do that. You want a bit more risk because you don't rely on it as much. Fine. But for Disney, I would obviously, if I've got a lot of stock, I'll be trying to sell off at break even. I'll put aggressive on Property Sector Pro or something, and then I'll try to just bring it down as fast as possible. I probably won't manually change it. I'll only manually change stuff to like the lowest price if it's close to expiry. Like if I really need to force that price down quicker, it's like $9.99 or something. But I noticed I could do 50 sales in a day. Just going back to the expiry, 50 sales in a day where I got the whole buy box to myself, and I only did like 40 or 50 in a whole month, previous month, because I was competing against so many other sellers at a £5 higher price. And so I'm able to cleanse out that inventory. Again, products that have been sitting there for a while also have storage fees. You know, if it's not, well, why? And it's the capital's tied up. Why not release some of that capital if you can? Because it's the bigger picture. It's like, what, you know, if you do £1 million turnover, gives you 100 grand. You might be down 30. You might have potentially been at 130, 140 if it would just be, if every decision was 100% perfect. But who cares? You made 100 grand, or you made 60 grand, or 50 grand, and that's how you should see it. And yeah, and so IKEA as well. I had various ranges of IKEA, not massive, but I still had them. And what I decided to do is just crash the prices. I was like, you know, what is the break even? What's the buy price? Well, $9.99, because I see $9.99 as an impulse buy. That's just how I see it. Sales seems to do really well at that price, and as long as I'm not losing money, I'll always start there, $9.99. And if I have to bring it down more at some point for whatever reason, I will. But with the sort of Disney and the IKEA, people are still selling it. I've not noticed anything crazy. But what I'll probably do is sell out, and then I'll leave everything. Well, I'll delete everything, but I'll leave it a couple of months and then revisit the ASINs later and make another evaluation. Because I think it was to do with pictures, for example, and a lot of the pictures on the ASINs have changed. But I'd rather get out of it for now, see if anything crops up later. Maybe the pictures are still, I don't know, going to cause issues. Nothing, you don't know until it comes up. I'll leave it a little while and then I'll reevaluate. But again, usually if I see an issue with them once or twice, you know, once even, I'm probably not going to sell them again because I don't need to. You know, once you have an expansive range, when you start making actions, they're only against small percentage of products, and that is what it is all about. It's about pushing that volume through. Yes, you can get 100% ROI off, you know, at a higher price, but I'd rather sell 300 or 1,000 at £1 profit and get £1,000 a month than make £5 profit at 10 sales. Yeah, make 50 quid. Well, I'd rather make £1,000 and hog the buy box and keep replenishing, go to the wholesaler and get 6 pallets. And just keep feeding, you know, and make a quid on every single one. In stock all the time. I've got the buy box on myself. You know, obviously that's another thing that's not related to obviously crashing the price. Well, in a way it is. Obviously, I want to have, in theory, yes. You could also do the opposite and say, if I've got continuous supply, I can get it cheaper with more pallets. Actually, this is like a little bonus. I can get 5 pallets, and every extra pallet I get it 20p cheaper per ASIN. Well, that's, you know, if I can get 10 pallets, that's a lot. That's £2 off. And I'll be like, okay, that means I can bring my price down £2, and everyone else is paying £2 more, so I can, in theory, bring that price down, have 100% of that buy box, meaning my sales will go up 5 times or 10 times or whatever the percentage is. But then that's perfect because then I can sell those 10 pallets in 3 months. If I was higher and sharing, I could only sell 2 pallets. Yeah, and so that amalgamation of 10 pallets will bring me £3 profit. But if I just bought 1 pallet, obviously higher cost, sold it with loads of other people at a buy box, what would the profit be at the end of the day? I don't know, 500 quid, 1,000, 2,000. But I would have made 1,000 that bringing the price down, selling the volume, rinse and repeat. Yeah. I mean, those are just other. This is obviously 3 things, but there are so many reasons why you would do it, and that's why when I see people talk about it, I'm like, you know, there's a gazillion reasons why people are doing it, and it's normal. Like, it's healthy actually. And if you don't understand that, when you're asking that question, it makes me feel sometimes that people are a little bit either not as educated, or they haven't come across it, or they're a little bit more beginner to intermediate because they may only have 5 or 10, 20, 30 of quantity in stock enough for a couple of weeks, a month, and so they never get, and so they're not doing the higher volume to ever realise why people actually do that. So here you go. I'm giving it to you. This is some reasons why I do it, with a little extra couple of reasons at the end, just so you can see. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Any questions though, let me know, and I'll see you on next one, guys.